14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage with the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Post-game reaction time for Auburn men's basketball in their game in Columbia, Missouri to take on the Missouri Tigers. They do fall. We're going to talk about the score, the stats, and the storylines. All that's coming up for you right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we discuss and share the Auburn experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So we appreciate you being here to share in the experience with us, even when it's a bit of a roller coaster, as someone just said, even when it's the highs and the lows of a very long basketball season. And as so many people continue to overreact, as you already see in the chats this evening, a long road in a very challenging SEC schedule against appears to be a pretty decent Missouri basketball team, even more than probably I was prepared for in this particular one. So we're going to talk about it. Break down the score. 84-74 Missouri wins. Congrats to them, taking down the Auburn Tigers in their place. And certainly we're going to talk about the individual stats, the team stats, the storylines amongst all of that, and take some of your commentary as is appropriate throughout. All that's coming up here in this show. We would love for you to start the show off, for those of you that are watching live, by hitting the like button. If you can do that for us, the share button if you're watching on social media. All of that is very much available to you to help us out and help yourselves out. Continue to grow the best little family within the Auburn family, and we appreciate you doing that for us this evening to help us out. Now, obviously, these are disappointing moments when you have such a high of that Arkansas win at home, then you go on the road. I think a lot of the consternation that will come from this one is people just hearing the word Missouri and assuming automatically that they're somehow not, a good basketball team or a a formidable opponent in that. But if you actually look at their record, they've been pretty good at home as well. So it should stand to reason that they would be, earn a little bit of respect here. I'm not saying this is the most exciting loss in the world. Not that a loss is ever exciting, but I am saying that it is not. And those that are overreacting to this loss, they revealed more about their character than anything else. But obviously, we'll talk about it the best that we can in this and make some sense of it tonight in Auburn falling to Missouri 84-74. Now, I know it's never appropriate. It feels like maybe is the right word, but we are going to always ask, not necessarily for your player of the game, but for your maybe player that stuck out to you the most. And I don't mean in these sarcastic senses, but the player that stuck out to you most in terms of, the biggest impact for Auburn tonight. Obviously, you're probably going to have some different options of that. Some of your stars weren't necessarily doing as much, on the scoring side of things. But I think certainly there were some great moments by a few players tonight that you could certainly take away from. It's really interesting to see Keyshawn Hall, after having back-to-back 30-point games and then going on the road here. He barely cracks into double digits. That is just a wild case right there of just emotions going one way and then the other. Here's a great call out from Devin. Jovic continues to impress me how much he has improved. Certainly, he is somebody that got a lot of the fan flack early in the season about, he didn't need to be playing or all these kind of things. And it just shows you how ignorant some people are sometimes. He is a very skilled and very talented player, and I think it showed it a lot tonight. Now, should he be starting or anything like that? I mean, he's not right now. That's certainly debates we can always have, but he is fitting nicely into the role that he is currently fulfilling for the Auburn Tigers. So that's a good call as well. Sway is someone tonight that we'll be mentioning here in just a second. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different tonight in terms of trying to talk about the different players of the game and stuff like that. All right, let's walk through it. Your leading scorers tonight, you have a two-way tie. I'm surprised no one has called this guy out yet. You should have. Kevin Overton, also in the tie. Elijah Freeman, who had also quite an interesting night for him as well. Kevin Overton tonight with 13 points, tied for first in scoring, 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 7 from the three-point arc. He makes both his free throws, rebound, 3 personal fouls, 2 turnovers, no assists, 32 minutes of play tonight, which is not the leading tonight. 37 was Hall in the leading minutes tonight. But he does tie for leading and scoring tonight. I have often said this, that I feel that as Kevin Overton goes, the team will go. The problem with that statement is that the rest of the team kind of has to do what they normally do as well. Keyshawn Hall's got to score a little bit more. We got to have a little bit more from maybe Tahad, especially on the road, which he has shown the ability to do at neutral sites and things like that. But Kevin Overton is just a solid rock. He's 13 points tonight. He's usually contributing in a lot of different ways, knocking down some very clutch shots. He's cool, calm, collected for the most part. And I am really excited that we picked him up. I think he is probably at this point the biggest pickup in the portal for Auburn, at least in terms of what we're seeing in impact and stats across the board. You've also got Elijah Freeman, tied at 13 points for this game, 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from the three-point arc, 3 for 6 from the free throw line. We'll get into free throws and all of that in a little bit, but as you can see from there was at least at times a little bit to be desired from the free throw angle for Auburn, either as individuals or as a team. So Elijah Freeman, though, with 2 rebounds, 2 personal fouls, 1 turnover, no assist. But he does have probably the highlight play of the game, and that is a last second, not a half-court shot, but essentially a Keyshawn Murphy style shot of just throwing it up there. And it wasn't one of those half-court shots where you throw it up. I mean, it kind of was. But he at least got a little bit of a shooting motion underneath this time. He makes it, if you were wondering. That was early, mid of the first half. It's probably the best play of the game for Auburn in terms of excitement and things like that. Although there were a couple of really interesting plays that probably will pop into my mind. I just can't remember the specifics at this point. But that's one that we certainly call out. He leads, it ties for the lead in scoring with Kevin Overton tonight with 13 total points. Right after him is the guy who probably would have led in scoring had he not fouled out. That'd be Sebastian Williams-Adams with 12 points tonight, 4 for 5 from the field, made 1 of 1 3-pointers, and made all his free throws. I saw this earlier in the game, and I was like, now, if Sway is the one, Sway struggled at times with his free throws. He's a big man. It's not unheard of for that to happen. If he's being this consistent with his free throws and the rest of the team just holds serve, essentially, this could be a pretty decent night from the free throw line. Well, we'll get there. But he took care of business. So even though he doesn't lead in scoring tonight, I wonder, had he played a little bit longer with the role that he was on, the flow that he was in, with Sebastian Williams-Adams be our clear leader for player of the game. Some of you already gave him a call out at the start of the show. So very nice for him in the minutes that he was able to play, only 19 for him. Auburn does have 4 players in double digits. Keyshawn Hall finally at the end got into double digits with 10 points, but he's only 2 for 9 from the field. He makes none of his 3-pointers. 6 for 8 from the free throw line's okay for him. I mean, he might miss one here or there. 2 is a little bit unheard of, but was clearly an off day for Mr. Keyshawn Hall. He gets 9 rebounds, 7 assists. He does turn over the ball the most tonight with 5. I think you could see maybe he was probably trying to do a little bit too much tonight, but I mean, still contributed in a lot of ways, maybe not necessarily in points, but almost gets a double-double with the rebounds, 7 assists tonight. So sharing the ball, trying to score the best he could. Wasn't a perfect night for Keyshawn Hall, but he certainly was able to still make an impact in the game. So those are your 4 leading scorers in double digits. You almost had 2 other guys in double digits. The problem was tonight, not people getting to double digits. It was we needed somebody just to get to that almost 20-point mark to just push Auburn over the edge this evening. So you have Keyshawn Murphy with 9, He didn't shoot any three-pointers tonight, for those of you that are wondering about that. He's 3 of 4 from the free throw line. You also had Tahad Pettifer with 9 points tonight, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. No three-pointers for him, 3 rebounds. Murphy was close to a double-double as well with 9 points and 8 rebounds. So you had 2 guys almost in double-doubles. So I'm throwing a lot at you guys right now, and we're going to see it when we get to the team stats and start breaking that down a little bit. What you're going to see is that the stats show you that this was, and the score, a 10-point difference there makes it feel maybe not as close, but it really was a close game the majority of the game. And you can see that reflected in some of the performances here individually. It's pretty glaring where some of the weaknesses were at this potential, at this time. Rest of the individual scores this evening. Who did we miss? Making sure you almost had another Jovic tonight, 8. So Jovic is your least score tonight at 8. Blake Muselik played, but he didn't score any tonight. He continues to get some minutes in lieu of Caden Magwood, who did not play again tonight. I would assume the disciplinary reasons continue on. But Jovic, very, very efficient. 4 for 4, 5 rebounds. As I think it was Devin said earlier in the show, he is not going to be your star player this year, but he is increasingly becoming more and more valuable in what he provides and getting several points for each game, but doing other things as well. Playing a lot bigger at times than I think people consider him. So that's your individual stats this evening. Just as a little point, this is more about team stuff, but I'm curious what the personal foul situation was. 19 in total for Auburn for the game and 17 in total. It was interesting because they kept pointing out that neither team was in the bonus. Yeah, the bonus. I was wondering if they meant double bonus in the first half, but boy, did the fouls come in quickly. This is not a conversation about, did the refs gyp us or anything like that. I'm just pointing this out for both teams. It was very quick whistles to start the game against Auburn, to start the second half. And then they came very frequently for Missouri at the end there too, to Auburn's benefit. So it ebbed and flowed. Auburn had to foul more at the end to slow the game down and potentially try to fight its way back into a win there. They only got it back within 4 points and were just right there on the cusp. Unfortunately, as you see it happen far too often, late to mid second quarter, when you find yourself in that double-digit deficit as Auburn did, it's a team that's shooting as well as Missouri did. It is difficult to fight your way back into the game. You got to do a lot of things right. And Auburn did. One of the things that Auburn teams have been known for, whether it's been under Bruce and or Steven by himself, is their inbound defense, and they showed that tonight. I would like to couple that with, though, as they pointed out on the broadcast, that Missouri has also struggled with some of their inbound defense and turnovers, trying to get the ball down the court late in the game previously. So which one was it more of? Who knows? But I certainly, knowing the history of Auburn's inbound defense, I'd probably put a little bit more on that than necessarily Missouri just being careless. A little note from WT on Mr. Sway. It's hard to believe Sway is a freshman. He plays like a sophomore and junior. I would agree with that. I would agree that he is very much playing a little bit older at times. I think moments like this where he fouls out a little bit quick in the game or gets into foul trouble at the very least quick in the game, that's where you reveal a little bit of your youth, but that comes with time. But he was very efficient tonight and a very good stat line for him, even in limited playing time. So a good call out for Sway. We talked about Freeman's almost half court bucket that he made. A couple other things that transpired. Kevin Overton again and Freeman were your leading scorers individually tonight. Let's talk about the team stats. This is where probably we're all wanting to talk about anyway. You know where we're going to start, folks, with the big 3: free throws, turnovers, and rebounds. Usually these will tell you how the game went. So let's look at free throws first. Auburn, 71% from free throws. That improved a bunch towards the end of the second half there. 68% for Missouri. This is, unfortunately, I think, where Auburn lost the game. Maybe not the most important stat. We'll continue to look at those, but I wonder, is this where Auburn lost the game? Because yes, it got better as they started making some late in the game, 20 of 28. But if you make even just 4 more of those at crucial points, you wonder how that flips the game on its head when you got back to a 4-point deficit with under 2 minutes left, I think is what it was. You got to have those free throws. Even 71% is not terrible on the night. It's not great. 80% is where I'm shooting for. But you couple that with how Missouri was struggling from the free throw line at their place. Auburn could have exploited this much more and snuck out of here with a win on a day where Missouri was shooting very well from the field today, which we'll talk about in a second. Turnovers. I think this was more so not in the favor of Auburn to start off the game, and that it switched back because of how poor the Missouri inbound situation was for them, especially late in the game. 11 for Auburn, 13 for Missouri. So not good for either team. Auburn, I've told you, when they hit double digits turnovers, I worry a lot about what's going to happen. That was the case tonight. So they do win the category just like they did with free throws, but it's not even that big of a margin. You still gave up 11 turnovers on the road. That is not a recipe for success. Traditionally, you should be able to give up more turnovers at home and come back from that, aka Missouri, if you're doing a few other things well, and they were. But even with winning that category, Auburn wasn't able to exploit their 13 turnovers as much, giving it up themselves. And finally, total rebounds, 34 to 33. Auburn does win the rebound category by 1, so it's basically a push or a tie at that point. So unfortunately, Auburn wins all 3 categories. Fortunately, they do, but unfortunately, they just don't make a big enough dent in those 3 categories to overcome that small deficit that they got back to, which is very frustrating. Very frustrating when you're just right there, it seems. So I continue wanting to reiterate with this team, for those that are the sky is falling ridiculous people on social media that you saw even earlier in our stream that just pop in here just to pop off at the mouth and then run away. You can tell how unintelligent they are in basketball. This team is very close. This team is a good team. They're just right now trying to get all the things fine-tuned, and they're playing against quality competition right now and on the road as well. Okay, so that's the big 3. Let's talk about it a little bit more. We'll come back to, I see some commentary we might hit here later in the show from you guys. But rest of the team stats. Whew. Shooting 55% from the field today at home was Missouri. Auburn not bad with 41%, but you are going to have a difficult time beating someone who is making 1 out of every 2 shots that they take on their home court. That's just the facts of life. You're really going to have to do well in a lot of other areas to overcome that. Auburn did that by shooting okay. You couple this with 3-point percentage. Auburn did not, 29%. It's almost 1 out of every 3. It's fine. It's not terrible. They shoot 21 shots of those 3-pointers tonight, only make 6 of them. 47% for Missouri. They were very efficient. One of those 2 is probably going to be the stat of the game, but let's keep walking through it for me, just so that we can look at it in full. Points off of turnovers. They win that category by 1. Second chance points. Auburn actually doubles up Missouri, which is encouraging. Offensive rebounds, if you couple that with that stat, it's 15-8 versus 15-7. So essentially the same thing. So that matches up quite nicely there. That makes a lot of sense there. That's an area where Auburn kept themselves in the game. Bench points tonight, 21-31 in favor of Missouri. You look at their guys, there's 2 guys who popped off tonight, Stone and Mitchell. We knew about Mitchell. You also had Pierce with 18. That's the one off the bench. So you had 2 guys, Barrett and Pierce, off the bench who just did absolutely outstanding. And that contributed a lot to their bench points. And points in the paint. Auburn wins by 2. There's a lot of points in the paints for both teams tonight. Ooh, my goodness. I think I found it. I think your most important stat of the game right now that I'm looking at, I thought it would be field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. If you're looking at fast breaks tonight, you're much better on fast breaks at home. So that would be Missouri. And boy, were they 9-22. 9-22. And if you remember, a lot in the first half, they were very good in that way. They were doing a lot of back cuts and things like that, coming down the floor. Very, very nice on their part. So I think that's the stat of the game right there. 9 of 22 in the fast break category. Missouri wins that one. Blocks, they win by 1. Ties and steals at 7. Assist in the favor of Missouri by an okay amount. So there's your team stats. And see if there's anything else interesting in some of the other stats to talk about tonight. So there you go. That's the breakdown of the team stats, the individual stats. We've talked a little bit about the storylines as well. If there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, we'll go back and look at some of the things that you've said that I maybe didn't bring up during this part of the show and round out our time with it. But let me take this moment and break in the show to remind you of our upcoming schedule this week. Keep in mind your next available live stream that we have currently on our tentative schedule planned is going to be Sunday night. Oh, I lied. I'm sorry. We are going to have a post-game stream for Auburn, South Carolina, right? Didn't have that one ready to go. Auburn, South Carolina post-game stream. We will also have an Auburn experience on Sunday night at 9 Eastern time. So join us for those 2 live streams. We'd love to have you with us this weekend. And we'll have other content on YouTube, other places for you throughout the week, especially as we get into the heart and meat and potatoes of this SEC basketball season. Okay, let's see what you guys were saying. I tried to save a few of the things that y'all were bringing up throughout. Micah says, so Missouri plays fast. I would say so. If we're just taking tonight as an example, certainly that could be it. Tim says Missouri is undefeated when making 8 threes in a game, and they made 9 tonight. Congratulations to them. A nice little pool on stats there, Tim. I don't know if that was on the broadcast or you just found that out yourself, but either way, good call out on that. Those are one of those weird trends that sometimes feels like it shouldn't matter, but maybe there's something to it. For a while there, it's like, why is Tahad so good on the road and neutral sites, but not at home? And that trend ends a little bit tonight. WT, it was a very winnable game, so it's disappointing to let it slip away at the end. I'm sure they will bounce back, though. They've already shown you the ability to bounce back against even higher quality opponents, so certainly you should believe that they'll be able to do that. Auburn will sit at 1-3 on the season thus far in SEC play. Mike, if I didn't say it earlier, their percentage from the field was 41%. Maybe I said it incorrectly or something like that. Tim said Pettiford's shot was off. His shot was short for most of the game. Potentially there. WT, Missouri has not been good at free throws this year, so that is not a shock that we outdid them. And even we didn't even do that well, so it could have been even better at that point. All right, I won't keep going back too far here. This is a good call out, Micah. Odd stat here, but Auburn is 1-0 when an announcer makes a Yo Mama joke. We could play that out even more. Auburn is 0-1 when a referee changes a call with non-indisputable evidence to overturn that call. At least that they'll present to the public. I know, sorry. We're trying to cope a little bit tonight, and so I'll bring that back out for those people that needed to hear that this evening. Okay, so rounding out our time this evening, you take your pick on player of the game or most impactful person, whatever you want to call it, in a loss. 2 it tied at 13. That'd be Kevin Overton and Elijah Freeman. Keyshawn Hall, if he has a little bit more points tonight, he would definitely have won that one, but I'm going to give it to Kevin Overton tonight. I thought he was solid throughout the majority of the game for the most part. Sebastian Williams-Adams also might have been able to take that if he had been able to stay in the game a little bit longer. I think your most important stat in this game, after looking at it all, I jumped the gun again and didn't wait till the end, as you always should. Fast break points, 9 of 22. Missouri just dominates that category at home, and I think that probably pushed them over the edge, counteracting anything that Auburn was able to do where they won in other categories, resulting in your final score of 74-84. The Auburn Tigers fall in Columbia, Missouri, to a pretty good Missouri Tiger team based off their current results and the results of this game. So this should not be a game that you hang your head low about. Certainly it's discouraging, as was said earlier, to be so close, and this was a very winnable game, and so that's why it's so frustrating. The season continues. SEC play rolls on. Much more season left to go, and we appreciate you spending some time with us this evening to talk about the score, the stats, and the storylines. As we go, I want to remind you of these things. The Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same.